Hey there, bookkeeping side hustle community. It's Kate. I am really excited to be here, recording later than I normally do, but it's a great topic. We are going behind the scenes with about the Intuit Academy Bookkeeper Certification, and specifically, we're talking with Nandy Christie, who formed a study group to be able to get this certification. I guess if there's a call to action, then it's academy.intuit.com is where these courses are held. She took the course. I found out about it and I was like super intrigued. So I wanted to get her to tell us about the study process, the course process. But then I also am going to push her a little bit to talk about forming her own little private study group. I think that's very fascinating. So I stayed in touch with her when I found that out. She passed. I do know that. I sent her some questions that I wanted to answer, but I haven't heard her answers yet. So this is really kind of an unbiased review of what her experience was like going through this free training. One last thing before we move on, I'm just going to give myself a little commercial here. Just if anyone needs a T account mouse pad, which might come in handy for people who are new bookkeepers, we got that accounting equation on top. Lots of people like these, and y'all can go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/store to get your fancy, nerdy bookkeeping side hustle mouse pad. So that's the intro. And now we're just going to hear from Nandy. So Nandy, please start just by introducing yourself and share a little bit about the background that brings you to this bookkeeping industry.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am really happy to be here. To be frank and honest, a lot of this actually started from your Facebook group.
Okay.
The idea popped into my head at the beginning of the year. My background is as a cosmetic scientist. That's where I spent a little over a decade of my life. And prior to that, I was in the beauty industry. So I've always been in the beauty space. And most recently, I transitioned into business development. And in the past 4 or 5 or so years, I've been very big on all things finance and wealth building. So, however, I started realizing that both my real estate and my full-time job were dependent on something. So I was looking for another stream of income that I can add that would be flexible, but that would not necessarily be dependent on like an employer, like my full-time job, or on a bank loan, like my real estate. So bookkeeping to me made perfect sense. I think accounting is the language of business. Whether you have your own business, you need to understand a lot of the bookkeeping principles that we are learning. So it made perfect sense. And overnight, I got started pretty much.
Yeah, and so this Intuit Academy Bookkeeping Certification, y'all, there's a lot of courses at that site, academy.intuit.com. And so we're going to be mostly focused on the bookkeeping certification. You'll notice in the lower right corner, there's a badge. That will be the badge that you learn. And this is really like this is different than the QuickBooks Pro Advisor badges and training. So I just want to make that clear as we're going through this, just to make sure that's clear. So I know you're going to tell us a lot about the study group as we talk, because you're going to, talk about the friends that you made and how they did with the program and how they liked it. But before, I don't want to lose the importance of that idea. So can you tell us why you thought, okay, I'm going to try this bookkeeping thing. You knew you had a lot to learn. Why did you form a study group? And then maybe share how y'all operated. I just think it's fascinating, and I am so thrilled about that concept of building community. And I think so. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. So when I first started, I think towards the end of the year, beginning of the year, I was very tunnel vision, focused on learning as much as I could on my own. And very quickly, I noticed that as somebody who has never really done bookkeeping before, like I have some business courses, but they're mostly around strategy and marketing, nothing really around bookkeeping. Even in my MBA, I did worse in the accounting course, and I chose to forget it. I never thought I would come back to it. And I realized very quickly that I was struggling, right? Because naturally I learned very quickly, but I was like, maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I just can't do this. So I went into your group and I started reaching out to people. And a lot of people say the same thing, right? All of them told me, hey, if you want to be good QuickBooks is not enough. You need the actual bookkeeping course itself. Then I started actually with the Coursera version, and I was having the same issues. I'm not getting the traction, and it's not sinking in the way I want. I really wanted to talk to somebody and be like, hey, what do you think? This doesn't make sense. So I went into your Facebook group and I just put out the word. I'm like, anybody want to do this? I was just bold. I was like, anybody want to do this with me? This is when I want to start. Here is the plan. Here is the class we're going to take. Here's when we're going to be done, just to see who was going to answer. And quite a few people reached out and thought it was a great idea too.
So how many people did you go through the course with?
So I think that's the fascinating thing, right? A lot of people responded, but in the end, only 2 people showed up. And to me, like, some people just couldn't make it because of the time. It's hard to coordinate something like that when you have too many people. So we told ourselves, you know what, this is perfect. Sometimes when it's small, it's more intimate, it's more effective, and we can work around each other's schedules a lot easier than if we had like a group of like 10 or 15 people. Yeah. But I think if I could do it, I would love to have more people, because every person in the group learns differently, and they can it's almost like we're teaching each other as we go.
Okay. Well, we're gonna ask them questions about the material, but we'll keep popping into that, how the study group worked. So the nuts and bolts of this certification, let's talk about that. So it's called, I think it's called the, well, maybe you know, but let's talk about how it's administered. How do you sign up? Is it on video? Is it pencil and paper? Like, tell us about just the nuts and bolts of the program.
So the course itself, I think it's called the Bookkeeping Foundation or the Bookkeeping Basics course. It's broken into 4 different sections. There is a bookkeeping basics section. This is where it's just going over all of the basic stuff you need to understand. And then there's a section on like tracking assets and sales. And then there's a section on liabilities. And then it closes with reconciliation. So you really understand all of the basics of bookkeeping, of everything. And then to sign up, super easy, super free. I do think though, that I went through QuickBooks first, so I had to open my QuickBooks accountant account, and then I was able to go into the training and I signed up. But I think if you just go to the Intuit Academy, you can just sign up like directly. I don't think you need to sign up for the QuickBooks.
Yeah. It looks like there's a lot of free educational material on Intuit Academy. So I'll put that link in the description below in the YouTube description, y'all. I know that you had said that you saw, once you realized that there was, you know, the Intuit Academy official site, that there was actually more courses, and that made you curious about taking more. So inside the QuickBooks, your QuickBooks Online Accountant account, you said it was only the bookkeeping course, not like the tax course or the crypto course or anything like that, right?
A lot of them were bookkeeping related. So you will have your bookkeeping basics course, you will have your QuickBooks level 1 and 2, and you also had payroll and something else. But they were all related to accounting and bookkeeping. It's in the Intuit that I believe you get the taxes.
Yep.
But that's what I think it is. And just to share a little bit, the course is 100% self-paced. And it's 100% online. It's structured with, let me know if I'm going too ahead of myself. I could share a little bit about how it's structured.
Yeah, let's talk about just so there's 4 sections. So break it up a little bit more. I've taken lots of online training. So is there quizzes? Do you have to pass tests as you're going? Are you solving problems? Are you just watching videos? Like, tell us, give us like a kind of a day in the life of studying for this.
Absolutely. So the way they've done a very good job structuring the course, right? It has a very beautiful interface. So it starts out the 4 sections that I shared, the basics, the tracking sales, liabilities, and reconciliation, each one of them have modules inside of them. Okay. So under each module, it introduces the concept. So you get to study the concepts, but then as you're going, it's asking you questions. So it's quizzing you on the concepts that you're learning. And at the end, there's a practice exam, right? Practice quiz, I shouldn't call it exam. That's anywhere from like maybe 5 to 15 questions, depending on the size of the module. And the way the courses are structured, this is probably one of my main con. It's a lot of reading. So you have to do a lot of reading in front of the computer, but it's reinforced with some videos that are maybe anywhere from 2 to maybe 10 minutes long, but you do have some videos, but you do have to do a lot of reading. And along the way, they are holding your hand, making sure that you understand the concepts.
So I'm curious, how much, so like they're starting with like assets equals liabilities plus equity, right? Like the accounting basics, right? So
Yeah.
are you looking at QuickBooks Online at all during this, or is it truly just like an agnostic to the platform? It's just basic accounting 101?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
Okay.
why we chose it, because this one, there's nothing about QuickBooks at all.
Okay.
It's almost QuickBook agnostic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about familiarizing you with the accounting principles.
Okay. I'm thinking like if people are watching this and they have staff, this might be or they're wanting to hire maybe, or maybe you want to bring your teenager in this summer, or like this would be that basic course, y'all. So this is like the very first step, and I believe to be a good bookkeeper, you don't start with QuickBooks. You start with assets equals liabilities plus equity. And then and then you learn about the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet. And it's like, it doesn't matter what software you use, because then if you internalize that, we can do bookkeeping in any software because they all operate the same. Yeah.
Absolutely. And on that front, right, they did a good job really familiarizing you with the concepts, right? So it's all of it. And it made sense at the end because at the beginning, it was just a lot of information.
Okay. A lot of people get worried about exams. So there's quizzes during the process, but then there is like an official thing that you can officially pass or fail, and it's hardcore. And like, is it proctored, and how long is it? Tell us about the big scary exam that you're going to be required to take to get that final Intuit trained bookkeeper badge.
Yeah, so I really hope that they are not sponsoring this, because I'm going to be very honest on this one.
Okay.
This is where I struggled a lot with the program. So the exam itself is about 50 multiple choice questions.
Hold on, 50 or 15?
50.
50, okay, okay.
Yeah, you have a 2-hour limit to complete the test, so you do have plenty of time. However, they do try to trick you.
Okay.
And the format is a bit unusual. So a regular multiple choice test, you have your question and you have all of your options underneath. With this one, it's not like that. You have your question and they give you A, and then they will ask you, is A correct, or yes or no? So then you would be like, yes or no. And then it would give you B, and then it would give you C, and then it will give you D. So in that 2 hours, be ready, do your finger exercise, because you're clicking, right? And you're clicking and you're clicking. And they're also trying to trick you a little bit. So you have to really read the questions, make sure you take your time to understand what the question is asking for before you move on. So
okay, well, that's good to know. And Intuit is not sponsoring this. This is just me finding an interesting person who was like, you're not full of bull. You said you wanted to do something and you did it. And I'm just like, how many times do people say, I'm gonna try something and then sign up and do 1 day of studying and quit? And like, I'm just so impressed with the way you approached it. And so yeah, Intuit's not sponsoring this. My motivation for this is that starting a cloud-based bookkeeping business and learning. I mean, I started on QuickBooks, I do FreshBooks now, but like it changed my life. And so I want this industry, however you decide to build it, whether you work for someone else or whether you build a big firm or whether you just have a few clients as a side hustle, like bookkeeping changed my family's life. And I want that for other people. And I don't want bad bookkeepers. I want really good bookkeepers. And I think, and like, this may or may not be like an outstanding accounting class. Like maybe, you can go to community college and take a course like this. You can buy a textbook and teach yourself whatever your learning style, but this is one free option.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
It's gonna mean something to you. And there is a test, and like some people get nervous, but like I bet it felt pretty good to pass it. And I bet it gave you confidence that, like, I mean, how are we supposed to know, y'all? We're by ourselves. There's no professor grading us. So this is kind of like that. And if you don't pass, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing books. I don't know. I know everyone learns differently, but I just think this program is ultimately like probably better than nothing. I haven't taken it. And I think it'll probably only get better. Usually Intuit does improve things with feedback, so.
Absolutely. And I just want to add something, right? I made it honestly because of the study group, because just like anything, when the motivation for me getting the group is because we all start strong with a lot of motivation, and especially for something like this that is new to me, that I've never done before. So having people to carry me through when I really wanted to just be like, I want to take a nap today, and I'm going to show up for us and not just for myself. And it was the most rewarding part of the whole process.
Well, that's fascinating. So let's just talk a little bit more about that study group. If anyone's watching live, we did get a comment over here. Tony said he took and passed the exam in August 24, and it could be better explained by them, but things probably have changed for the better. So he took it almost a year ago. Glad you're still here listening to this, Tony. I want to ask about this study group. So we've got enough questions, I think, about the technical specs of this program, y'all. It's free. There's a hard 50-question test. You got 2 hours. This is no joke, okay? This is for real. But it's doable. So now let's talk about that study group that you said was so key to that. When you're kind of by yourself doing something, it's good to have those people kind of breathing down your neck, the people expecting you to be there. So I'm curious about how you went about studying outside of the group, and then how did you utilize the group? Are y'all meeting daily, weekly? Are you WhatsApp grouping? Like all the details. So start with, you've told us how you found the group. You just boldly put a post. A lot of people replied. Only 3 of y'all finally stood the test and stayed together. How did you facilitate it?
Absolutely. So originally I was studying on my own. I had everything from Coursera, I bought a bookkeeping textbook. I had the Quizlet on my phone, studying on my own. But then when I got the group, it felt like I started slowing all of that down a little bit. We would meet once a week for 2 hours on Saturday evenings, and we will grind. Every time we met together, we will go through some of the concepts, but most importantly, we will do the quizzes and the exams together. The first few times we invested a lot of time on the concept. So we will try to review the concept. We will give ourselves goals, right? We'll be like, this week, let's review the bookkeeping basic. And then we will quickly realize, man, because one bookkeeping basic had like 6 modules, it's too much. So then we started cutting it back. It's like, okay, if we can do 3 modules this week, that's success. So we will study the concepts on our own. And then when we get together, instead of reviewing the concept as a team, we just started doing the practice exam. So we just kept doing that. I remember when I first put out the post, I was like, we're going to finish this in 4 weeks. No.
Okay.
It ended up taking us almost 8 weeks to complete it, but we really wanted to understand the concepts and then also do the practice quizzes together.
So were y'all speaking aloud to one another, or were y'all are like, okay, so pretty interactive during that time, but you had to prep ahead of time?
Absolutely, just like I'm doing with you right now. So for example, we'll get together, one of us usually would lead, and they will share their screen, and then we will go through module per module. So we'll have, quiz, like first module, we already reviewed the concept, let's turn on the practice quiz. We will read the quiz out loud, and we will think it through. We'll give ourselves like a few minutes to be quiet, think it through, and then we'll be like, oh yeah, I think it's this, I think it's that. The good thing was, Kate, almost every single time, one of us would be like I'll be like, I don't understand it, but one person understands it. And then they will say, this is why I think it's correct, or this is why I think these are wrong. And then when we would click and we get it right or wrong, the explanation matches with one person. So it's almost like all of us, because we think differently, had almost like a specific area of expertise, right? So there were certain questions that I wouldn't do well on because maybe it was too much math. One of the girl is a math person, so she'll be like, oh yeah, no, I understand this. So those dynamics was so great during the study sessions.
This just warms my heart. Oh my gosh. It's like if like there's something right in the world. I'm so happy for y'all. So let's talk about, so I would like for you to share about this, how you took the test. Y'all decided to take the test together, but not everyone had success. This is one piece of information she has told me. So talk to us about that and how the study group helped encourage through some struggles with the actual exam.
Yeah, so I think I think we kind of had a sacrificial lamb, to be honest with you. Okay. So we kept saying, okay, next week, let's take it. But each one of us was scared. And we would get together and once again, it would be like, yeah, I didn't take it, either because I didn't have time or because we were scared. So one of our team members took it and she didn't pass. And so then I was about to take it too. And the format really scared me. So then I kind of retracted too. And so we got back together after she had failed and we supported one another. We're like, okay, what were the challenges? She was able to tell us, yes, you really need to take your time. She gave us some pointers. Take your time. Let's study the practice exam again together and all of that. So then we each went on our merry way. We took the exam. I took it and I made sure to not be overconfident. And I took my time and eventually I ended up passing and then everybody else passed.
So all three of y'all have passed?
Yes.
All right. Way to go. I bet that felt so good.
It does.
And so the next thing I want to ask is just any last comments about how you feel about this study program, that you can go on record. No one's sponsoring this. You're just going to be helping people who are curious about this. So the good, the bad, the ugly, just any last things on that?
Yeah, so the good and the great, the interface is really good. You can see that they put a lot of effort into delivering something that will be beneficial to people who want to be bookkeepers, especially people who, need to add a complement to the QuickBooks program. The one con is that it's not the best for somebody like me who has no background in accounting.
Okay.
I would think that if you don't have a background in accounting, you perform a study session, or you need to have somebody who'll be bouncing things to, or do what I did, right? I supplemented with a lot of YouTube and Coursera and stuff like that, because I don't do well reading. I need somebody to talk to me, and I need somebody to talk to. So that could just be a personal Nandy thing. So for me, they could use more video-based explanations. And even if they had like a peer support group, right? Even like a Facebook group where you could go and bounce off questions and ideas, elevate the
any tips for people wanting to form a study group?
I think the most important one that I would say is be bold. And be okay with people's circumstances, because I think that often when I formed the study group, I got a lot of influx of people who said interested, but then it took a lot of effort for me to not be disappointed when a lot of people didn't show up.
Okay. So I mean, 3 sounds like a great number. I bet y'all really bonded. And
exactly. And I think that even if just one person shows up, it's a win, right? And my tip to people is be very specific. Just take control, lead it. Be very specific about what you want to form the study group around, how it will be structured, and put it out there. And when people respond, try to coordinate as well as you can. And that's what I did at the beginning. But after I got those few ladies, one of the ladies is has a background in product development. She took control after that. She was like, we need to schedule a meeting. We need to organize. Okay. So it was so great to see that sense of community. I was like, I didn't have to lead the whole way through. I just led at the beginning. And after that, it's like we were just doing it together.
All right. My last question is, what comes next? What are y'all going to do?
Yes. So the next thing, we're sticking together.
Oh, great. Great, great.
Yes, so we're starting with the bookkeeping, but we're starting with the bookkeeping basics, but that's only the beginning. We are moving on now to the QuickBooks course and training, and we're also considering the gym, the bookkeeping gym. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so we a QuickBooks gym, I'm sorry. So we can now start practicing the things that we learned in the software itself. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I'm friends with the people who create the QuickBooks Online Gym. I'll put a link to that course below. They have developed like this whole year of a business, and where you practice doing bookkeeping for like this whole simulation, and it's supposed to simulate 12 months of actually being a bookkeeper for a business. Obviously, you can complete it quicker than you're not going to take 12 months to do it, but that's the goal. It's a really fantastic program. So that link will be below. Nandy, we're going to wrap up. I am so impressed by you, and like, you want to be a bookkeeper and you're making it happen. And I'm super impressed. This knowledge is going to, whatever path you take. And it's funny, we all have these like, oh, I'm going to do this next. And like everything kind of gets derailed. And like, who knows? Maybe you're going to have your own firm. Maybe you're going to quit your day job. Maybe you're going to just like, it doesn't matter. Like you've come up with a process that's going to allow you to kind of do whatever you want in life, learn whatever. And right now you're on the accounting thing. I hope it works so great for you. I can't wait to follow your journey, y'all. She's in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group. That's where she, found her people. You're going to be answering people's questions soon. You're going to be the pro. I just can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it, because so far the journey has been, I love your group because I love when people are asking, what about this? What about this? And I'm just like, I hope that's me one day.
Yes. Well, we're going to wrap up, y'all. If y'all like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a like, so Nandy knows that we got a lot out of this. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to wrap up. I appreciate you so much, and I'm just so inspired. I think I'm going to tell my kids about you at dinner tonight. Y'all, adios for now. Bye, y'all.
Bye.